Hey everybody, Tom Linfesti and Mike Berger with NC Planning here at you again with Daily Counsel. This is our attempt to bring, resources, especially during this COVID-19, crisis for businesses, for individuals, that could prove helpful, resourceful, whether those are legal resources, practical advice, or otherwise. So we'll jump into it today. Mike, I know you and the team on the corporate side have been dealing a lot with not just consulting and advising business owners through, the different crises they're going through, shutdown, loss of revenues during this time, but also you have deals pending, or you have potentially, buyers who are looking or are in the marketplace in contract negotiations on buying businesses. What can you tell us, or what are kind of the key advice that you would give those buyers either looking or already in the midst of going through with an acquisition or a purchase at this point?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And thank you all for joining us. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please give us a like and a subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. We would really appreciate it. I've mentioned in other videos that to those of you who may or may not be familiar with our corporate side of our practice at NC Planning, we have sort of a niche area of M&A work, merger and acquisition, where we represent sellers and buyers of businesses and professional practices. And that professional practice space consists of dentists, doctors, attorneys, engineers, and the like. And I've given some advice before, or some comment on, what sellers should look for. So in light of the COVID crisis, this other approach here of what a buyer should look for, I think it's a little bit different perspective, but I do think still let's keep in touch with our lender friends, right? If you're doing things to tee up and potentially buy a practice or buy a business, depending on how you're going to finance that acquisition, may drive who you need to be talking to. And what I mean by that is, let's take a dental practice acquisition, for instance. We do a number of these every year, working with dentists who are purchasing maybe their first practice, or maybe they're purchasing their fifth practice. But in any event, they're working with a lender in some capacity, and they're trying to get pre-qualified for the lending that they're going to need to go forward. I think that's an important step to have ready, locked, and loaded. I would expand that beyond the lending space for the buyer, and I would say do any and everything you need to do in order to be ready to put in an offer to purchase a practice. So maybe that is pre-qualification with your lender. Maybe you're moving to North Carolina from another state and you're a prospective buyer. Make sure you're getting your licensure in order with the dental board. We help dentists all the time. We help other professionals all the time with their licensure board, making sure that they're compliant, dotting I's, crossing T's, and getting those applications through as seamlessly as possible, so that they can be in a position to be duly licensed in North Carolina, get their professional entity, their PLLC, or professional corporation set up with their legal team, because that's going to be the entity that we use. And again, whether you're buying as a professional entity or you're a new form of your company to buy the assets of another company, you may want to consider that corporate structuring element. So I guess to recap, summarize, and look at it at a high level is, if you're buying a business, this is a great time to really work on sharpening those items that you need to have in place in sort of that pre-qualification mode before you're ready to tender the letter of intent to go ahead and get the deal started. Again, NC Planning, we're always here to stand by and help clients with questions on that front. So feel free to reach out, give us a buzz, or give us a call.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Mike. And again, especially on the lending side, they're so busy right now processing, the SBA PPP loans, it's resources, right? If it's dealing with licensing board, how many of those employees are now working remotely or working reduced hours? So, being patient, but seeing it through. I think a big thing always is, for the most part, lawyers are contingency planners, right? So there's not probably much that we couldn't put into a contract, have the parties agree on to make sure that, this is kind of addressed as things go forward into an acquisition or otherwise. Got to have the parties agreeable, everything else, but definitely something, to kind of see that through, be patient, work with your advisors is all great advice. So thanks so much, Mike. Thanks everybody else, and we'll see you tomorrow for our next Daily Counsel.